Thank you for coming to the Shorewood Sanitary District meeting for April. I am looking, well, we'll start off with roll call. I'm Rich Stork, I'm the chairman of the board.
I'm Dean Fundell, treasurer.
Matt Anderson, vice chair.
Al Powers, board member.
Tina Heidelberger, secretary.
And in the audience, we have Terry Peterson with LLJ Wastewater Management. First thing we're going to look for is for the approval of the minutes from Tuesday, March 4th. Everybody's had a minute to take a look at them. I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those minutes are approved.
And I also have one that's stamped already and as approved for signature that I'm going to pass down. Because I figured if we'd approve them, we could sign the notarized copy tonight.
Okay. Perfect. And we'll take a minute to do that, and then Terry will probably move right into the wastewater operator update for the month of March.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay. Here come your numbers, Tina.
All right.
So the total for the month was 241,740 gallons. Average was 7,798.1 gallons a day. The high was on the 30th at 16,830 gallons. Low was on the 7th at 6,240.
30th was a weather day.
Yeah. Yep. And
Anything else happening this month?
ice went off the ponds a week or so ago.
Okay.
So I transferred some off the first pond into the secondary pond. And we're gonna probably start discharging, we're gonna test on the 9th and probably start discharging on the 12th, somewhere in there.
So mid-month.
Yep. We'll probably discharge for 4 days probably.
Okay.
And we'll be in pretty good shape.
All right. Pretty simple month. That's good. Chairman report, this month, it basically revolved around the expansion, a couple meetings, met with the expansion group, Dean and Becky, and just kind of updating with what is going on. I did reach out to HR Green, and today we did receive a budget of what it's going to take to move forward with the expansion, and also a request for proposals once it goes out to bidding, plus what the fees would be to move forward with the cost for HR Green, basically, all their services and what it's going to take for the expansion. So I forwarded that information on to the group, and I would imagine that there'll be a meeting and more discussions sometime this month on how they want to move forward. But I'll continue to coordinate with Dean and Becky on those meetings. I'll bring in Chris along with that. I did hear from Jim Ertz, and we did talk briefly about what his plans were for the expansion, or for bringing Rush Lake Estates onto the system. Has an alternate plan to provide sewer for that group if the expansion doesn't go. And he is working with he's working with Jones to come up with a final design and to put that into play.
Yep, and I've got kind of a quick draft of what we're kind of thinking, so it's pretty simple design without having to go into the manhole. I think we're going to try to get in the head of the manhole and stand repeated in.
Okay, all right. So with whatever that design is, you're going to present that to the developer of Rush Lake Estates.
Yep.
And then he will present that once that final design is in for approval.
It's pretty simple, what we came up with, I think it'll work fine, and if the expansion ever does go, it'll be pretty easy to tie it into it, so.
One way or the transition, one way or the other?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
And ultimately, like I told you, and I think I talked a little bit about it, is, and the rest of the board is ultimately, you don't want to take responsibility for those, each one of the individual ones, you'd never want to take that. I've gone through that before with the lakes that I take care of now. You want each one to be individual, let the homeowners take care of it, it's their responsibility. The main line, yes, you guys take care of, but from the house to where it ties in, it's on the homeowner, so.
Okay, so
Right.
basically what you're saying, your design is based on a main drain coming from each piece of the property and tying to our existing?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
all right. And if the expansion does go through, it would be easily to convert that over to the expansion?
Yep.
Or he could wait,
Or they
depending
could
on...
wait and tie it, and yeah, either way, it could be long-term, could be short-term, it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right, sounds good. We'll wait for that design and we'll let the developer present that for the final approval, because that's the process that we put in front of them. So we'll let you work that out with them, because they're contracted by them to provide that design. And I'm glad that they reached out to you. So
Yeah.
That's good news. There was one, let's see what else we had. I think I answered some questions on one of the properties, and I provided them with an email about where it stands and how that expansion is going, and I did let them know that the approval process is in play to tie in Rush Lake Estates into the Shorewood Park Sanitary District, pending which design that they decide to go with. So other than that, it was pretty quiet. Any questions?
Was it a potential homeowner or a homeowner?
Potential. I heard from a
Okay.
realtor.
Okay.
And I think I shared that email with everybody.
Yep. And that was about Rush Lake Estates, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You guys, I don't know, you guys haven't talked about the expansion at all yet, have you?
No, that'll be down into old business, so we'll talk more about it.
Okay.
All right, let's move into the financial update.
Sorry, 1 second. Okay. There's a typo on the thing. I realized we do not have a checking account balance of 12,000. It's 112,000. That's a big difference.
I was hoping that was okay.
So I apologize for that. Our current, like I said, current checking account balance is $112,208.17. Investment fund balance is $221,508.08. And the investment cash value balance is $30,706.81. Current bills for the month. I have a bill from East Central Energy, which is an automatic debit of $192.88. I have our invoice from LJJ for $1,700. There is also a receipt for, correct me if I'm wrong, Terry, it's a meter replacement?
It's the new meter.
The new meter, okay, for $1,385.13 that we would make payable to LJJ, because you've already paid this, correct?
Yeah, it's all.
Okay. And then I had forgotten to add on there, I also have a reimbursement request for myself for ink of $186.14. So I will pass those down for review and approval.
All right. Thank you for that. Can I get a motion to approve the bills as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and payment of the bills is approved. All right, we'll move into expansion update, and I will let Dean take that away with what we've talked about and where we're standing so far this month, and what progress we have made.
I don't have a lot. What I do have is Becky and I met at the Capitol with the House representatives, and we presented our request for $600,000 for a bonding bill funding. They had two people comment, the representatives. One of them said that she was happy to see the numbers were down from what years ago we were requesting the whole thing, the $2 million and something. And so she was happy with that. And then I had another representative questioning us as about maintenance, and I said that the district does collect a monthly fee from every household to cover the maintenance costs. So everything was good. We were there with Representative Nelson, our representative, and he was pretty happy with the outcome of our little meeting. We only had like 8 minutes to present our request. So, and then we did have a Zoom meeting. Rich had touched on that before. And we just looked at an update from Chris Ziegler from MAP, and he's been working on stuff and presenting it to our EPA specialist. We'll have to find out again probably this month sometime. We'll have another meeting to see how the progress is going with that.
And that's just these are steps that are left to finalize and approve the funding from the EPA. The last 2 steps were a working plan. We're really close on finalizing that. And then the budget. What was holding us up on the budget was information coming back from HR Green, and we just received that today. We haven't had a lot of time to digest that, but I think the numbers are overall, they're coming in less. I think the total budget for the whole project would be roughly 1.7, and we've been approved for a federal grant up to 1.9. So all the numbers are balancing out. So they are looking good.
And Chris is still working on the proposal to eliminate our 20%. But that depends on income for the area and a few other things that he has to check out. I don't know if he's gotten to finish that up yet.
So overall, I think the progress is a lot positive. It's moving in the right direction. I think we're going to wait to find out if there's going to be any additional funds from the state. That'll be the pivot point, because if they do cover the delta, it'll be an all-go for sure.
Yeah, and that should be sometime in the end of May. They close out their session. It's usually one of the last things that they do is approve a funding bill. So,
but we won't let that hold us up for continue moving over for planning.
correct.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions?
So once it's all approved, then how quickly does it actually start the project? And I'm guessing it takes a while to finish it too.
Yeah, I would, I don't know, you want to try to answer
I
that
would
question?
kind of expect engineering update of the plans and the things that they have to do. If they have to do some survey, I think they did that once before, and I'm not sure if they look into the notes, they might find some of that. I'm figuring a couple of months for doing that, and then go out to bids. So in my mind, I would think it would be a late fall project, just the timing from what has to be done in the steps. So.
And if the approval process does go through and everything holds up, if it doesn't happen in the fall, it would be the first thing in the spring
Okay.
of the following year.
And by that time, we even know it's go for sure. So.
Yep.
Okay.
Channel update, I don't know if you have anything on the channel update, other than,
I don't know when the next meeting is. She's still trying to set it up for the day.
I think she's still in the process of making that happen, and I think there was still positive ones of that happening.
And the last I heard, it was very positive, so.
Okay. I'll just touch base on, I'll add something on the old business, and that would be the alternative plan for the Rush Lake Estates tying into the sewer system. If the expansion doesn't go, that process is moving forward. Jim Ertz and the developer, they have contacted Joneses to provide them with a plan to present to us for approval as an alternative plan to tie those 5 lots into the sewer system. So that's the status on that. Now, depending on if the expansion goes or if it doesn't go, that would be up to the developer on which way he wants to move forward.
It's okay if I talk.
Pardon me?
Oh, I'm just gonna, so, because I've got a couple potential interested, we probably got reached out by one of the agents that's,
Right.
they're fairly interested. So they're just, what I'm stuck in between is, does the developer go ahead with the existing, put the money out there, or do we wait to see if the new expansion? But I don't know how soon these buyers would want to build, and so that's where our holdup has been, and so I haven't put it back on the market. I just have I have a sign up, which is, I still am getting a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And I still have the interested buyer from back in the fall, but I haven't wanted to,
I understand where you're coming from, and I did respond to, I can't remember who it was, and I did give him kind of where we're standing.
yeah,
I think Jim is gonna have the information that he needs,
yeah,
and if that plan is something that they can move up temporarily, even for one lot, and it sounds like that is the case,
yeah,
there's some sort of, Jim can make that decision on if he wants to roll the dice and move that up. So
Yeah.
ultimately, it really still comes up to the developer on how he wants to spend his money, right?
right. And we just want to make sure that those lots never are like landlocked, or, can't be built on because they're, that's how we bought it, was to be connected to the sewer.
We're a lot closer to making that happen than we were a while ago, and I think that was always there.
Yeah,
But the pressure we pushed back was to make sure that Jim understood what direction we had to go through, and I think there was a little confusion there.
Yeah.
What was happening, he was turning the responsibility all onto us, and that's not fair, right? We have the club, you have to enter into the club, and there's a lot of different things that have to happen to make that happen. But just to reassure you, we're a lot closer than where we were before, so.
yeah, that's good to hear. It's been a long 6 months of just trying to figure out what's going on and what our options would be, because there's so much money into the land, and then, just pushing out buyers or anybody that's interested to buy it so we can move on has been,
Well, I get that, that's stressful too, because somebody's are they gonna wait or are they not gonna wait? And there's
yeah.
But hopefully the email that I gave to them reassured them that it's really close.
I appreciate that.
Yep,
Okay, thank you so much.
yep. All right, well, I guess we're gonna move on to new business. And we have an item here, Shorewood Circle
Yep.
purchase
I'll
proposal.
take this down or pass that around. So this is a letter from actually Joe and I. We are proposing if the board would consider selling a portion of the park to us. So basically what we're asking is if you would consider selling, and there's a map there that shows it's the land directly across from our lot, Rich's lot, John Flasher. It would be across from, at the end of TJ Denisha's. Anyways, we're asking to purchase that portion of the park, which obviously the benefits would be that the district would no longer pay taxes or have to maintain the area. We would continue to let people use it for parking, just like we do now, but our plan is to put, Joe wants to put a garage there. And it would not be a pole barn, it would be an actual stick-built garage, so like it would match our house. It wouldn't be, it'd be aesthetically pleasing is what I'm trying to say. So he has contacted the county, he hasn't gotten an answer yet, but we would take care of everything from the title search, survey, all of that. We would cover those costs. It would just be the board agreeing to sell us the land if you wanted to, or if we were in agreement of it. So that's the proposal. We're just asking if you consider it. And if it has to go out for vote to the rest of the the rest of the residents or not. So
I guess there's a few things that I haven't read the plan either, what you guys put in front of us.
yep.
I think I've, just in passing, Joe and I have talked about, and I'm not quite sure or understand exactly where our infrastructure is for the sewer system down there. We'd have to locate that. I think a portion of our sewer system actually runs through that park.
Yep.
So, and I don't know how we would approach that if you own that whole piece of property, or if we'd have to grant some sort of an easement, because we're always going to have access to that
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah, we need an easement for that, for our sewer line.
And I don't know how we would approach that. I guess I'd have to ask legal on how that would operate, but we always have to have access to that.
Yep.
So that would have to be part of the plan.
My concern is that there's other people that use that land to put their boat lift and other equipment during the winter season. And I think that if we start selling our parks land, I just don't think it's a good idea. I'll just be honest. Forthright.
It would set a precedent, I think. And then I don't know how we could manage it, quite frankly, and selling all the other pieces of property. I guess I'm up for suggestions on how to proceed.
I think Dean's right, we may have to do a vote in the park, because there'll be other people that want to do it across the park from their house too.
Right. And I guess, is that, the first thing that would have to happen is, it would have to be surveyed, because it's not 100% clear on how the properties and where that actually splits up and where everything is split up. I mean, that would, you basically said in the proposal, you would take that on and do the proposal.
Yep.
I mean, that would have to be the first thing, but I guess the next thing is how do we approach everybody else in the park? Would it be a survey? Would it be, because everybody in the whole area owns that little piece of property based on, we pay the taxes for it, right? It was turned over to the Shorewood Park Sanitary District. So I wouldn't even know do we send out a survey? Or, what would the survey say? What's your take on this? But I know it would be, well, if he's gonna buy that piece of the property, I wanna buy this part of the park.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't even know how to proceed. Do we just send out a general survey to see, is everybody okay with selling off portions of the park? Or portions of any other properties?
Well, and another concern would be, when somebody approaches the board offering to buy something, and then there has to be all this work done, then board is then tasked with doing all the work as far as putting out surveys and.
Well, it would have to be the homeowner that would have to pay for that. So that's what Joe's saying, is like, we would be the ones, and that would be, you'd have to set, if this was agreed upon, it would have to be something where you say to any resident, if you're interested in proposing to the board that you want to purchase land from the board, you have to take care of checking for easements with the county. You have to have the land surveyed, you'd have to pay any of the legal fees, anything that's involved in it. They would have to do the legwork of it, because it's not the board's job to have to do that. It's simply the board's job to say, yep, we're willing to look at selling it, or no, we're not, and an end of story. So I don't think that we want to put the board in that position.
It'd be just like any other developer, just like we put the responsibility on the Rush Lake
Yep.
Estates. It'd be up to any kind of a developer, if they want to, if somebody wants to develop any piece of property in any kind of government entity, they have to put a proposal together for approval. So I see, this is basically the ask. It's a start of a proposal.
And like he said, he's not gotten any word back from the county, because he had to ask about easements.
Yeah. They don't
And
even-
also if he can even build a garage, because if they come back and they say, no, you can't put a garage there, then we're not even interested in buying it. I mean, that would be dead then anyways, so.
All right, so I guess at that point, maybe we should wait for, I hate to make you do more work, but
Well,
why would we even put the proposal out if he won't be able to build, right?
yep.
Does that make sense to wait
Yeah.
to see if that's even liable?
And that's gonna be the situation with the same thing across the board, where I know we've talked about in the past, like the area that's attached to Dennis Wood, the large area that we own, that used to be part of both.
2 acres?
Yep.
2 acres?
That we wouldn't want to sell that, only because that's probably the most value that we have from a tax value. That's the area that's worth the most money right now.
Yeah.
And we would want to have that for security, financial security, if we ever needed to use it for something.
Well,
But this one-
assets is basically what you're saying. If it
Yeah.
ever came down to when we had to pull money out
Yep,
to
that
fix
would be
the
our
ponds,
biggest
or
asset.
if they ever blew and we had to pull or borrow money,
Yep,
what does the Shorewood Park Sanitary District have for assets? We have property. We have a property down by the lake where We have that easement going into the lake, which is a good piece of property. That's worth a lot of money. And then we have that 2-acre lot. And of course, then we have the park in between that I know in the past somebody's approached and wanted to build out. This is a small piece of the pie. I don't think there's a lot of great value there. It doesn't affect a lot of people. But, I mean, in the big scheme of things, it does set some sort of a precedent.
Yeah, because somebody could come and say, I want to purchase the large park, and they could want to develop it,
Right.
you know?
And
But again, if they wanted to do that and tie into our system, they would have to do the same thing
Right,
that Rush Lake Estates is going through,
right.
you know?
Which would make it hard because
Yeah.
we're becoming close to capacity of what we could take.
Yeah.
And we don't know
Yeah.
that. So, yeah, it's a sticky wicket. I think I would like to table it. This is my opinion, and I'd be looking for a motion or how we proceed, but based on the way you brought it across is, if the county wouldn't let them build something on there anyways, why would we go through the process of the whole work, right?
Yep.
So maybe we wait to see what the county says, and if he could build, on there, and then maybe we approach it at that time. I know it's kicking the can down the road.
Mhm.
But then I think the next step would be to have a good solid proposal, because it's gonna create a lot of questions,
Mhm.
right? And, I know that, I live right there, it wouldn't bother me. I mean, we basically take care of that small piece anywhere.
Well, and that's the
between
thing
us.
is, we haven't been taking care of it for a while now, and it hasn't been being taken care of
Well, we're
either,
gonna-
because,
Yeah,
and that's what we need to talk about Rasmussen next, because they're gonna have to start mowing down there,
I agree,
because they haven't been taking care of it.
and the reason they
So,
haven't is because we haven't taken care of it.
Yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah.
and I get where you're coming from too, so if we're paying to have them take care of it, we might as well let them mow it and take care of it. So I guess, at this point, does anybody else have I think, do we wait to see if it is buildable? And then I guess the next step at that point would be, we'd have to somehow do a survey to test the waters, to see what some people think.
What if we needed to put a pump house at that end? If something happened, we needed to drill another well,
Well,
the
I mean,
water, like the water company, or the water company, the water association or whatever, had to put a pump house there, because I think it's a bad precedent. I think I'm a candidate writing on keeping the neighborhood exactly the same. So I would propose a vote to not sell any of our park property right now. I don't think we should sell it. I don't think we should waste their time. Have them put all this work together and pay for all these surveys and stuff like that, when I'm a no right now. So, I don't know if you guys want to have a vote now, but
I don't want to answer for everybody in the park either. I know we have that ability, right? I think that's forcing us to do a survey. What would that survey be? If there was a proposal to sell any of the property, that's gonna open up a big can of worms, I know that. I don't buy this property, I'm gonna buy this property. We're gonna create a lot of work for us.
well, we've had proposals in the past that we just did a straight line vote, yes or no.
Yes or no? Yeah.
So I don't see why it's inappropriate. I don't think we should sell our land. I think that it's valuable to keep this system independent, not only the sewer, but the water. And I think that as soon as word gets out that the board's selling their land, then there's going to be other interested parties, and then the jockeying with that, I just think it's a really bad idea, guys. We moved to the neighborhood so that, it wouldn't be developed, and the neighborhood would stay the same. That's what I joined the board to do, is to keep the neighborhood the same and keep it, from developers, I guess.
It will set precedents, other people will want to do the same thing across the road.
It's nothing against Tina and Joe
No,
personally
no.
whatsoever. I just want to make that clear. I just think it's a really bad idea if we do this, or if we even humor it, because then we're going to have people. I'd love to own the land across from my property, but I am of the opinion that the neighborhood should stay the way that it is. So,
Okay, I guess I'm looking for some sort of proposal on how we want to move forward.
well, like I said, I'll propose a vote on whether or not we should sell this piece of land in general. And I first the motion to not sell the land.
I'd have to second it right now.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Guess that's approved.
Sorry, Tina.
Yeah.
No,
Me
that's,
too.
I get it, that's why you wanted to ask, so.
Yeah, and just out of respect for you guys, I just didn't want to waste your time. That's why I'm hammering on it.
All right. Other new business, bond service contract renewal.
Yep. I'm gonna pass that down from Rasmussen.
And this is for the year of 2025?
Yes.
Okay, Deer Shorewood Park. Spring is almost here, and it's time to start thinking of our lawns for the upcoming season. We would like to express our thanks for giving us the opportunity to service your lawn care needs. We're very excited and would enjoy working with you this year. Please check the services desired. Mowing ponds, at $119.90 per time as needed. What did we pay last year? Did that go up?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, I'm sure it went up, and
I spoke to Dean, and he said that the prices are the same. So
Okay.
if that's incorrect, then we need to speak to him about that, but he did assure me that the prices were going to remain the same.
all right, so basically they're asking us to check this off, and we know that that has to happen. So that's an easy check, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as needed. Mowing pond drive ditches per time, once per month. Now, I'm gonna talk to Terry about that a little bit. Do you think that would be enough to keep the road clear going out to the pond once a month at 109?
More than enough. Are they
Okay.
supposed to mow it? Have they mowed it in the past?
Pardon me?
Have they mowed it in the past?
Have they mowed it in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've
I
taken care
guess I've
of it.
never paid no attention.
Yeah, I mean, they keep the road pretty clear. So,
Well, last year I know they didn't because where you guys cleaned up the trees and stuff, they never mowed it on them.
no.
They were there all summer.
So mowing the road ditches once per.
Once per month is probably fine, though. I mean, they're just doing the edges of the road, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. So I will check that. Mow and trim Shorewood entrance, 40 per time, every 2 weeks. We want that mowed, that ticks people off when that's not taken care of. Mow and trim Upper Park, 200 per time, every 2 weeks. I think they did a pretty good job keeping up with that, right? Right? Okay. Mow and trim Small Upper Park, mow and trim Lower Park every 2 weeks. So that's basically, we just gotta make sure that they are gonna do that. Even if it doesn't look like it's mowed, we wanna make sure that they are going down there. Spray for weeds around the pond. So this is basically everything that we had last year. There's no difference. Comments, I'm just gonna put down there, we want them to continue the mowing, even if it doesn't look like it needs to be mowed, right? I guess now that we have this in front of us, I would like, you've been talking to Dean, if you don't mind, we should probably ask him what he would charge us to do a spring cleanup before he starts mowing. Because that was a contention of everybody around here, that none of the leaves were cleaned up at the end of the year last year. So can you ask him to provide us with a cost here and when you need to do that? Because it's probably gonna have to happen clean, to do a spring cleanup and get the leaves cleaned up before he mows.
Sure.
Okay. I will just make sure I put a comment down here, basically mow as per above, even if it doesn't look like it needs to be mowed. I guess I'm gonna look for a proposal to approve this mowing contract.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, perfect, I'll sign that then. All right, I want to add one other thing to new business, and I think it's time to move forward with road repairs.
Road repairs, I just checked today, I walked, I drove around. There's a couple bad spots, one bad spot down the lower circle, another bad spot at the lakeside, where the V comes down, goes down to the dead end, it's getting pretty bad. Other than that, the roads look pretty darn good this year.
Okay, so do you want to take, we're going to spend some money regardless, patching in whatever. Do you want to set up a time to go with Premier and walk around and then get a proposal for approval for next month?
Sure.
And then we can look forward to getting the roads corrected in, in May, right?
Okay. You just give me a budget then?
Well, the budget's the same. What's our budget for roads?
30,000.
30,000, basically.
Close to that, yeah.
Yep. So, we'll come in, if it comes above that, depending on what's going on, then we'll talk about it next meeting,
Sure.
depending on what the survey is. But I think it's time to contact them and have them come through. But I think the frost is pretty much pushed through and the alligator movement is starting to settle down.
Right.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business? Yes.
Do you guys ever have, this is kind of random, do you guys ever have any interest in like portable storage sheds? Just so random, but I sell them to other, I have them on my Heritage lot. And it occurred to me when you guys were talking about like or not sheds, but lawn care and stuff, so. If you guys ever need a need, I have.
And when you say portable sheds, what are you talking about? Like the old hickory
Yeah,
sheds?
yeah, I saw those.
Okay. I would think that individual homeowners do have needs here and there. As far as the sanitary district, we do have a pump house shed.
Mhm.
I know that the water, I don't know how they're gonna approach, I think they're gonna build a shed, stick up, they're building a shed, right? That's gonna be more of a permanent. So I would say, as a sanitary district, we don't have a need for a shed.
Yeah.
But, it's possible that some of the residents, I know, I've seen sheds coming and going.
Yeah, I saw a lot in Rush City, but I also, schools and stuff like that, I do a lot of business with schools, so.
Like equipment and.
Yeah, sports equipment, gardening stuff.
We stopped housing equipment when we hired him. He comes with all the equipment we need.
Yeah.
Right, Terry?
You're a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop. All right, is there any other new business? All right, with that, I guess I'll look for a motion to close.
First.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.